Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the Ingrove in Phoenix, Arizona. Today I'm going to do a video about a pet peeve of mine. It's an email that I get actually somewhat regularly from customers, and it goes something like this. What the hell is wrong with you? Why the hell did you ruin my covers before you sent me the record? And it is the most perplexing email I get from customers. What are they talking about? Well, they're talking about my price tag being on the shrink. Now, keep in mind, we are a brick and mortar record store that not only does mail order, but we have a retail store. So when we receive products, we price it like a normal retail store would. Some stuff goes in the warehouse, some stuff goes on our showroom. So that's kind of how things get received. But that's not what's perplexing to me. What's perplexing to me is why people look at that as a drawback and as opposed to a plus. Now, if you've been collecting for a long period of time, you probably think about this somewhat differently. You probably think of this as a plus, as opposed to a newer collector who probably thinks of this as a minus. At least that's where I have figured out that the divide lies. And let me show you the reason why. So when you're dealing with vintage records, hype stickers, shrink wrap, and price tags are a big deal. And they're a big deal on the plus side, not on the negative side. It's a plus side. Look at this Ventures, Walk Don't Run. Now it's in shrink. That's cool, but it would be less cool if it didn't have this killer 1960s price tag on it that said sale price is $3.98. This is cool. But I imagine there was somebody back in the day, who knows, that was probably a little bit upset about that being on there. But by today's standards, this is more valuable. A record in the shrink with any types of hype stickers and or period correct price tags are going to increase the value. Here's another record. Now this is a modern, less desirable, attractive price tag, but it adds to the story of this record and it makes it more valuable. I would pay more for something like this than opposed to something without it. If I was giving now it wouldn't be a huge amount in this case, but if I was given the opportunity of one versus the other, I want the one with the price tag. This is one of the few sealed records in my collection. This is Metallica's Black Album. Now what's cool about this is it has the original. Now this probably would have been found at a small record store because it's just an old school price gun, but $11.95 price tag. Now there's actually another price tag that was removed up here. You can see the shadow of it in the shrink wrap. This was probably the sale price, or maybe the other tag was the sale price. One of them was removed. I think it would be cooler even with that additional price tag on it that tells more of the story. But you probably see where I'm going with this. And I'll keep going a little bit because I really don't think the market, the newer collector, understands the coolness of the price tag, of the modern price tag on a record. That is the coolness of the story of where that record came from. Like, look at this. This is bought from a place that you would never associate with records. This was bought from Walgreens back in the 60s. Look, it's an original Columbia 2i. Regular price, $4.79. Walgreens had it for $3.59. I go to Walgreens all the time today, but it's hard to think at one point in time, Walgreens was selling records. Would you prefer that this record didn't have that price tag on it? Would it be worth more to you without that price tag? I don't think so. I know for a fact it's worth more to me as a retailer, as a seller, and as a collector. And I know other collectors that feel the exact same way. Most of them do. Now, this is one of the coolest price tags in my collection. Bar none. This is a copy in shrink with the hype sticker of the wall. Now, it might have just a basic, unique looking price tag. This is from Discs and Tapes. But what is cool about this, and if I had an option of buying one with this price tag or one without this price tag, say it was 50 or $100 more, I would pay the $100 for this price tag. You wanna know why? Because it's dated. It's dated December 7th, 1979. This album came out November 30th, 1979. I have a copy of The Wall that's not only a true first pressing, but this record was on a shelf in a record store on the 7th, the following week that the record came out. You want to talk about a uber cool, super cool first pressing? This is it. And it's because of this little price tag. Same price tag that irritates so many people. Here's another record. Now this has a couple of price tags, but it tells a really cool story. This is probably the original price tag and then maybe a used record dealer back in the day. This is a first pressing of Metallica's Ride the Lightning on Megaforce Records. Beautiful copy, in shrink, but it's got a Homer's price tag. It was $7.98 at Homer's. And then it has this Banks price tag. Being that it has two separate price tags from two separate stores, I think this place would have probably been a used record store. $3.99. Look at the story this record's telling you. Customer A bought this record for $7.98 and didn't like it. They're like, you know what? That Metallica Ride the Lightning, that's just not for me. I'm going to trade that into Banks. And then Banks sold it for $3.99. And there it is. All told by the price tag. Some price tags are cool in the sense that they're not cool and elaborate, but they're from iconic record stores. Tower Records. Copy of Prince. $5.98. $5.99. Here's another cool, iconic record store. This is a Metallica Helping Hands from the In Groove Records. Now, this particular price tag was only used the first 2 years the In Groove was open. This unique green tag. It dates this record from 2015 to 2017. Cool. It doesn't detract from this record. I think it improves this record. Another just cool price tag. This is from Kmart. Kmart, you guys remember Kmart? Didn't close that long ago, but a defunct department store. Blue Light Special, $5.40. This adds to the record. Think about this Curtis Mayfield. A, it's a gatefold. It's hard to find and shrink. But B, somebody could pull the shrink off and they could kind of do a good job and replicate that shrink. But what you can't really easily replicate is a Kmart price tag from the 70s. Look how cool that is. This does not detract from the value of the record. Here's another one. Talking Head 77. This is from Corvettes. Price tag G. Kind of tells a story of how a lot of record stores operated back in the day when they had price code structures. This didn't actually have a price tag on it. It had price code G. And then you would go on around the store and you would actually see a chart. Record price code A, this price. Record price code B, this price. So rather than changing each individual price on the record, they could just go change that sign on the wall. But look at this. It's cool. It tells the story of this record. We also know that this isn't a 90s pressing. You can look at it and instantaneously know what this record's all about, where it came from, what the lineage is. Some record hype stickers are just kind of cool because they fit the vibe of the record. This is a James Brown, A Soulful Christmas. In the shrink, but what's cool is it has this green kind of holiday $1.99 price tag. It was priced for the holidays, brought in for the holidays, but there it is. Couple more. A very cool record from an era when records were not in shrink wrap. You had to get records in shrink from distributors at that point in time. If you were a normal record store bringing in a record at this time, you would have got a generic record. A lot of dealers would write the pencil price on the back, but this was actually sold via a distributor, so it includes the original distributor shrink on this. List price, $4.98. Our price, $3.25. This is from the Hi-Fi Record Rack. I own 10 copies of this record. I specifically saw this in this bag with this price tag, and it's like it was I had to own this because of this. Two more. We'll end with a doozy. The Rolling Stones, Satanic Majesty's Request. Very basic, cut out, but what's cool about this is it has, if it was just the generic shrink, a lot of people would look at this and say, you know what, that could be a reseal. But the fact that it has the gem record price tag, $1.99, which would have been a closeout clearance price, the fact that it's punched adds to the story, gives a big sense of legitimacy. Now, a lot of people are starting to fraud this. You know, they're taking old price tags off of other records and putting them on other records. The reason they're doing it, because it adds value to the records. Stop emailing me. It is not a detraction from the aesthetic of the record. It tells the story of the record. Here is my last price tag. This is an iconic in-groove price tag. And it tells the story of the record. My own record. I have the option of not having it with price tags, but here it is with a price tag. This is my newest price tag. What's cool about this? I've upgraded my price tag specifically because I wanted them to be more like these other cool vintage price tags. This is the price tag that defines the item, what you're getting, the price, but also it has the store website on it so you know exactly where it came from. And I actually put categories on my price tags now. I'm actually working on a way to date the price tag. There's a reason I haven't done that yet, because my used prices would have a tag. And a lot of my used price tags I print in bulk. So theoretically, I could have a 6-month-old price tag on a record I just got in that's used, and it would have that older price tag. But I think I'm gonna figure out a way to change that because it really needs the date on it. Because I really wanna be able to replicate for some dude 40 years in the future, some iconic record that was bought today that has the original date of when the tag was printed. I think I'm gonna do that as soon as I get off the video. But take a big, long, hard look at that price tag. That does not devalue the record. It adds to the story of this record. Now, I've gotten emails that are, some are nice and polite. Why do you do this? And I explain to people, well, keep in mind, we are a record store. I'll never forget Record Store Day, and I think it was on stream, maybe 2020. Somebody came in the store. They grabbed an $80 record off the wall. They grabbed a 99-cent price tag out of the bin. Neither one of the price tags peeled off very easily, and he brought this $80, $90 record off the wall with a 99-cent price tag. I'm like, where'd you get this? Oh, it was on the shelf. I'm like, dude, get the hell out of my store. Go. You're gone. Get out of here. Whoa, it was just in the store like that. I didn't do nothing. Now, I looked on the cameras later on. He did the price switching. That's one of the reasons I have it on there. But it is definitely not a distraction. I've tried emailing people a abbreviated version of this, and it just seems to me like I gotta get a video out there. Maybe some of you guys disagree with me, but if you do, you're wrong. You're just wrong, because I know the biggest collectors. I know guys that drop $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on a record, and it's more valuable to them with the price tag on it. Now, maybe it's just because we're looking at it through a modern lens. You're looking at it through the modern lens of somebody added this today. But you got to look at this type of stuff. If you're worried about the collectability of it, and that's the people that are emailing me, they're worried about the collectability of it. If you're worrying about the collectability of it, don't look through it with a modern lens. Look through it with the vintage lens of 30, 40 years from now. The cool story the price tag is going to tell, because the in-groove ain't going to be around forever. I'm not going to be around forever. And this will be a cool moment in time where somebody in the future is like, oh, this came from the in-groove. I remember hearing about that store once upon a time. I hope. I mean, as a record store, that's my goal, is to achieve to be one of the best stores, the most legendary record stores. And the price tag means something. It is important. Like I said, if I change and add the date today, then we'll know forever that that's a price tag that I just showed you that's been around. It was around for about 1.5 years when I added the website. So the price tags change. You're able to date the records. It's a cool little thing that doesn't detract from the record whatsoever. It tells the story, because keep in mind, records are bought in stores as opposed to online distributors, Amazons, those types of places. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a cool record store price tag. I mean, that's where I'm at on it. I firmly believe it. The guys who are into this deep, that really are big time collectors, they agree with me. I've talked to them many times in the past. It is what it is, guys. Get with the times. All right. You can buy all of your records with these white price tags, beautiful white price tags, at theingroove.com. All right. Until next time.